Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
I'll take some examples and then we will discuss about arithmetic mean, the shortcut method to calculate arithmetic mean and step deviation method to calculate arithmetic mean. These methods are very simple, just the names are different, the logic is same. Okay, the methods are devised to make the calculations simpler and shorter. Okay. Now these are marks obtained by 30 students of class 10 of a certain school in mathematics paper consisting of 100 marks, and these are presented in table below. Find the mean of marks obtained by these students. So 10 marks are obtained by one student, 20 marks by one, 36 marks by 3 students, 40 marks by 4 students. Now look at these are frequencies. 40 marks are obtained by 4 students, so this has got frequency of 4. Okay, so if I want to write data like this, xi is 10, 20, 36, or already it is given in this table, so let us make this table here itself. So if I extend this table like this and write fi xi here, why I am doing that? Just to calculate the total marks obtained by all these students. For example, 3 students have obtained 36 marks. So what is the total that these have obtained? 36 into 3, which is fi into xi, right? What is the total marks obtained by these 4 students collectively? 4 into 40, that is fi into xi. So fi into xi for this is 10 into 1, that is 10, 20 into 1 is 20, 36 into 3 is 108, this is 160, 150, 112, 240, 280, 72, 80, 176, 276 and 95, right? So this is fi xi for us. Now I need for arithmetic mean, or simply mean, I need sigma fi xi and sigma fi, right? This will give me the total marks obtained by all the students, right? And this will give me the number of total students, number of all the students in the class, right? So sigma fi xi. Now I need to add all these numbers here, and I'll write total here, let us say. So I am writing sigma fi xi here. Okay, now you need to add these. I'll write the total directly here, which is 1779, 1779. Okay, and number of students, this we can add here: 2, 5, 9, 12, 14, 18, 22, 23, 24, 26 and 4, 30. So sigma fi is 30, sigma fi xi is 1779, hence the mean is 1779 divided by 30, which is 59.3. So this is the mean of the marks obtained by the students of class 10th, right? How did I calculate this? I just added all the marks. So I calculated the sum of the total marks by calculating fi xi here, and total number of students by calculating sigma fi here, right? And then I divided it. So this is the method that we already know. Okay, so let us look at the next question. Now this table below gives the percentage distribution of female teachers in the primary schools of rural areas of various states and union territories. Find the mean percentage of female teachers by all the 3 methods discussed in this section. Okay. So what are the three methods? Three methods that I will talk about here are the direct method. So let us talk about a bit direct method. What is the direct method that I have just used? Direct method was about sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. So if I denote mean by x bar here, okay. So this is the mean and it is equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, and this is the direct method, right. You calculate the total of observations and then divide by number of observations, right. Now the other method is shortcut method. We also call it assumed mean method. Now out of this data x1, x2, x3 and all, we assume that there is a mean, let us say a. We assume a number as our mean, assumed mean method. If I assume a as my mean, so what will be the effect on the arithmetic mean now? If I calculate, if I subtract this number from each of the entries x1 minus a, x2 minus a, now if I calculate the mean, I have shown you that it will be just lesser than by a from the previous mean, okay. And if I add a in this, it will give me the original mean. Now if I assume a number as my mean and subtract it from this data, for example, if I write sigma xi minus a here, right, and then fi divided by sigma fi, let us say. Now what does it mean? That I have subtracted a from each of these entries, right. So what will be the final effect? That it will be lesser by a. So if this was x bar, now it will be x bar minus a. So if I add a on both sides, it will give me x bar again, right. So x bar will be sigma xi minus a fi divided by sigma fi plus a, okay. So this method now will be known as shortcut method or assumed mean method. Xi minus a can be written as some other term. Let us write it by di. So it is sigma fi di divided by sigma fi plus a. This is the another way to calculate arithmetic mean, which is by assuming a number a as my mean, then subtract it from each of the entries so that the number becomes shorter, right, and then finally calculate sigma fi di, where di is nothing but xi minus a and di is the deviation from our assumed mean here, right. So if we finally add a here, it will give us the arithmetic mean, okay. Even if you want to expand this, let us say sigma xi minus a into fi divided by sigma fi. If you want to have a look at this, you can write it as sigma xi fi minus sigma a fi divided by sigma fi, right. Now look at the first part. It is nothing but sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, which is nothing but the original mean xi, x bar, right, minus sigma a fi divided by sigma fi. Now as I already told you, this is constant for this because I is my summation variable. So I can take a outside. So finally I can write this as sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi minus a sigma fi divided by sigma fi. Now you can cancel it, right. So you can see that it is shorter by a. Now if you finally add a in this like this, it will just be the original arithmetic mean. So this is about the shortcut method, that we can subtract any number of our choice from each of the entries and then use the formula sigma fi di in place of sigma fi xi, right, and finally add the assumed mean here. Okay. Another thing that I discussed in the introduction part, that we can divide each number by certain constant. Okay. And if I divide each number by, let us say, certain number, then I will call it step deviation method. When do we use this method? When even by subtracting some assumed mean, the data is not simple enough to calculate, right? Then we divide each number by certain number, whichever we find convenient. Okay. Let us divide each number that we obtain after subtracting a by h. So, if I divide sigma, let us say xi minus a by h now, okay, and this if I multiply with fi and divide by sigma fi. Okay. So, what will be the effect? This 1 by h I can take common outside the sigma. Okay. So, if I multiply it by h, finally this h will get eliminated, right. Now, xi minus a, to take care of this a, I will finally add a here. So, this is the mean obtained using the step deviation method. What I have done here is I have just manipulated the way, I have just shortened the calculation part by dividing each number by h and finally multiplied by that same h to get the arithmetic mean here. I hope this is clear to you by now. Okay. Then we can move ahead to this question. We will use all these three methods to calculate this, and then we will understand about it. Now, first thing that we need to understand, whenever the data is given in this class form, we use class mark. Let us say these are the classes 15 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 45. This is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. So, what is the class mark? Class mark is just the average of upper limit and lower limit. So, you add upper limit and lower limit and divide by 2, that will give you class mark. Now, to represent this class 15 to 25, we will take this class mark which is around the center of this data, right. So, if I want to write class marks here, what will be the class mark for this? 15 plus 25, that is 40 by 2, which is 20, right. So, this is the class mark for this class. Why I am writing class mark? Because this number will represent this class here. This will work as my xi now, right, and this is the frequency fi for me. Okay. So, if this is 20, what is the class mark for this class? 25 plus 35 is 60, 60 divided by 2 is 30. So, this is 20, this is 30. So, obviously, this will be 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So, these are the class marks, or we can say xi, right. So, the first method is direct method, where we calculate. Direct method is where we calculate sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, right. What is the shortcut method or assumed mean method? Here we will calculate sigma fi di by sigma fi, right, and then we will finally add a in it, where di is nothing but xi minus a. This was the assumed mean method, where we assumed a certain number a as our mean, subtracted it from each of the entries, and then calculated our mean using di as our xi, and then finally added a. And what was step deviation method? We calculated, let us say, ui xi minus a by h. We divide each entry by h now, right. So, let us consider it as ui. So, we will calculate sigma fi ui divided by sigma fi. Okay. Now, we have divided each entry by h. So we have to multiply it by h, and we have subtracted a from each entry, so we will add a finally, which I have proved in my introduction part also. So this will give me my mean now. So these all are giving me x bar, which is the arithmetic mean. So I've got three methods, and I'll utilize these methods as per my need. For this question, I'll utilize all the three methods. So this is xi. So what is fi xi? What is fi xi? This is the product of these. So 120 here, 330 here, 280, 200, 240, 140, 80, right? What is sigma fi xi? Let us write it here. Sigma fi xi, which it is the sum of these entries. So 120 plus 80 is 200, 200 and 200, 400. So 400, 640, 680, 780, 810, 1110, 1190, 1390. So this is 1390. Okay. Okay. So this is 1390. Now if I calculate sigma fi here, which is sum of these, 6 plus 11 is 17, 17 and 7, 24, 28, 32 and 3, 35. So sigma fi is 35. So my direct method will give me mean as 1390 divided by 35. Okay. So this is, we can calculate it approximately, which is equal to, this is approximately equal to 39.71. Okay. Now let us use assumed mean method here. Okay. So out of these entries, if I, let us say, assume 50 as my mean, so what will be di? Is the assumed mean. So di is xi minus 50, right? So this will give me minus 30, minus 20, minus 10, 0, 60 minus 50 is 10, 70 minus 50, 20 and 30 here, right? Now I'll calculate fi di, because in the assumed mean method I'll require fi di. So I'll calculate fi di here. So multiply this and this. So fi di will be 6 into minus 30 minus 180, 11 into minus 20 minus 220, minus 70, this is 0, 4 into 10 is 40, right? 2 into 20 is 40, 1 into 30 is 30, and if I calculate sigma fi di, it will be equal to, now see, this 40 plus 30 is 70, 70 minus 70 is 0, this 40 you can subtract from it, it will give me 180, right? Then negative 180 is negative 360. So now sigma fi di is minus 360. Okay. So I can put minus 360 here. So it will give me minus 360 by sigma fi, which is 35. Then I have to add the assumed mean, which is a, right? So which is a is 50 in our case. So minus 360 by 35 plus 50 is our mean. You calculate this, and this will also be 39.71. Now I can help you to calculate it. 5 sevens are minus 72 here. So this will be 350 minus 72 by 7. 350 minus 72. So 300 minus 22. So 280 minus 2, that is 278 by 7. So you look at it, 278 by 7. Let me make some space here. Two 78 by 7. 7 3s are 21. So 6 will be there. 7 9s are 63. So 5 will be there. 7 7s are 49, and then 1. So 39.71. You will still get the same mean. Why? Because we are assuming a number A and subtracting from each of the entries and finally adding that number. So it will not affect our original mean here. Similarly, if I now divide, let us say, each of these entries by a certain numbers, which in this case I think will be 10, right? Because each of them is divisible by 10. Let me make a table for ui, which is xi minus a by h. Okay, h in this case I am taking 10. A we have already taken as 50. Xi minus a is nothing but di, which we have already calculated. Now we will divide di by h, which is 10, right? So if I make a table for ui here, so what will be ui? We will divide this number by 10, so it will give me minus 3. Or what we can do is we can make some space here itself. Okay. So ui is this xi minus 50 by 10, right? So if I divide it by 10, it will give me minus 3, it will give me minus 2, minus 1, this will give me 0, 1, this will give me 2, and this will give me 3. So what will be fi ui this time? What will be fi ui? Fi is 6, ui is minus 3, so minus 18 here, 11 into minus 2, minus 22 here, 7 into minus 1, minus 7, this 0 multiplied with any number is 0, right? This is 1, okay? So 1 into 4 is 4, 2 into 2 is 4, 3 into 1 is 3. So what will be sigma fi ui? It will be equal to 4 plus 4, 8 plus 3, 11, right? This is plus 11, and minus 7 will make it plus 4. This is minus 22, so it will become minus 18, minus 18 and minus 18, minus 36, right? Now sigma fi ui we have calculated, so we will use our step deviation method here, which is h is 10 into sigma fi ui, it is minus 36, right, divided by sigma fi, which is 35, and plus a is 50. Now you look at this, this is minus 360 by 35, which we obtained in the assumed mean method also, right? This is the same calculation that we obtained in assumed mean method also, but in this step deviation method the numbers became shorter, so it was easier to calculate. However, the result will be same, which is 39.71. So I demonstrated all these three methods. All the three methods will give you the same arithmetic mean. It will be simpler in some of the questions to use assumed mean methods, and in some of the questions you can use step deviation method. So you have to decide based on the question which method will you use. If the data is very simple, you can directly go by direct method, otherwise assumed mean method or step deviation method, right? Now these are the number of wickets taken by bowlers in one-day cricket matches. Find mean number of wickets by choosing a suitable method. What does the mean signify? So the first thing we need is, this is the frequency xi. For xi I need class mark, which will be my xi, right. Class mark is upper limit plus lower limit, which is 80 divided by 2, so it will become 40. In this case 60 plus 100 is 160 divided by 2 is 80. Now this is 250, right, this is 250. So in this case the class mark will be 150 plus 100, that is 250 divided by 2, 125. In this case if you look at upper limit and lower limit, 150 plus 250 is 400, 400 divided by 2, 200. In this case 300 plus 600 divided by 2 is 300. In this case you will get 400, right. So this is xi. Now to use direct method I will need fi xi, which is 280, 400, 125 into 16 will be 2000, this will be 2400, this will be 600, this will be 1200. What is the sigma fi xi? So we will write the sum here itself. Sigma fi xi is equal to 1800, 2200, 4200, 6200, 6600, right, 6880, right. And what is sigma fi? It is 5, 17, 22, 29, 35, 45. Sigma fi is 45. Hence the mean is equal to 6880 divided by 45, right. So which will be approximately equal to 152.89, right. So this is the mean number of wickets taken by bowlers in one-day cricket matches. What does the mean signify? That it is the number of wickets taken by bowlers. What does this mean signify? This gives me the average of the number of wickets taken by these 45 bowlers in one-day cricket, right. So this gives me the average.